So, the metaverse. Why is it that some people are diving in headfirst, while for a lot of others, it's a total non starter? It's one of the biggest questions in tech right now. We're going to dig into the science of what actually pulls us into these virtual worlds, and I think you'll find the answer is pretty fascinating. Let's get into it. The whole metaverse thing is kind of a huge contradiction, isn't it? On the one hand, everyone's calling it the next big thing, the future of the internet, but on the other, the reality feels a little, well, empty.
I mean, you've got these huge companies, the big players, pouring literal billions of dollars into building out this vision. They're betting the farm that this is the next frontier for how we're all going to work, play, and hang out.
And yet, you've probably heard the stories, right? For all that cash being thrown around, a lot of these sprawling virtual worlds are basically ghost towns. User numbers are low, and there's a sense that nobody's really home. The promise is just massive. I mean, a persistent, shared 3D universe where we can all interact in ways that, until now, have been pure science fiction. It's supposed to be the successor to the internet as we know it. But then you have the flip side. A ton of people are just not buying it. They're asking, is this a real revolution, or is it just a super expensive marketing gimmick that hasn't found its footing? So, what gives? What's the real story here? Okay, so to get to the bottom of this, we're going to turn to the science. There's a massive new meta-analysis that gives us this really powerful framework called SHIFT, and it helps us understand the deep psychological reasons we either jump into the metaverse or stay far away. And look, we're not talking about some small one-off study here. This is a meta-analysis. Researchers pulled together the findings from 140 different studies, with data from, get this, over 46,000 people. So yeah, the data here is about as solid as it gets. So what is this SHIFT framework exactly? Well, you can think of it as a model for sorting all the psychological reasons we might try a new technology. It breaks everything down into 5 core ideas, so we can finally see what's really going on under the hood beyond just cool tech. So here's the breakdown. S is for social influence. That classic FOMO when you see all your friends trying something. H is for habit. Basically, how easy is it to get into and use? I is for the individual self, and this one is huge. It's all about you. F is for feelings and cognition. In other words, is it fun? Does it feel good? And finally, T is for tangibility. We're going to unpack all of these. All right, next up, identity, enjoyment, and usefulness. This is what the research reveals are the biggest drivers. So out of all those factors in the SHIFT model, which ones are the heavy hitters? Well, when the researchers crunched all that data, the answer was crystal clear. It really boils down to 3 main things, and you can literally see it for yourself right here. Just look at that chart. That first bar for individual self is just towering over everything else. That's the #1 predictor. It's all about our identity, our personal values, and our goals. And right behind it, feelings. Basically, is this experience enjoyable? As for everything else, yeah, it plays a much, much smaller role. This really gets to the heart of the whole thing. There's a quote from the study that just nails it. Metaverse acceptance is about becoming, not just using. Think about that. This isn't like picking up a new app or a new tool. It's an act of exploring who you are, or maybe who you could be. So let's double-click on that individual self idea. What does it actually mean? Well, it's like we're subconsciously asking ourselves a few key questions. First, is this platform actually useful for me? Not for anyone else, for my goals. Second, can I express myself here? Can I make an avatar that truly reflects me? And finally, does this whole thing even vibe with what I care about as a person? Okay, so the second biggest piece of the puzzle is all about emotion. It's not enough for the metaverse to just be useful, it has to be genuinely enjoyable. Does it spark curiosity? Does it make you feel present, immersed, and engaged? Think about going to a virtual concert or event. It's that feeling of shared excitement that keeps you coming back, not just the technical specs. Okay, wait a minute. If identity and fun are that powerful, what about all the downsides we hear about? Data privacy, harassment, losing real money on virtual items. Surely that's got to be a huge deal breaker for people, right? Well, this is one of the most surprising and honestly kind of shocking findings in the entire analysis. When they looked at all the data, perceived risk had no significant statistical effect on whether people decided to join. That's right. It means the pull of self-expression and enjoyment is so incredibly powerful that it basically outweighs all our worries about the potential downsides. Let's move on to the supporting roles, social pressure and easy habits. So What about the other factors in the SHF model? Well, social influence and habit, they definitely play a part. But the research shows they're more like the supporting characters in the story, not the main stars. Social influence is important because seeing your friends or your community in a virtual space creates what the researchers call embodied co-presence. It's a fancy term, but it just means it feels like you're actually there with them, which is way more powerful than a group chat. And at the same time, habit is crucial. If a platform is clunky or hard to get into, you're never going to form that routine of coming back again and again. Next up, a really important one. How culture changes everything, and why a one-size-fits-all metaverse just won't work. Because here's the thing. All those psychological drivers we've been talking about, they are not universal. It turns out your cultural background completely changes the game. For example, in more individualistic cultures, say the US or Western Europe, adoption is all about what the metaverse can do for me. It's about personalization, achievement, and self-expression. But in more collectivistic cultures, the focus flips completely. It becomes about us, about maintaining group harmony, doing things together, and strengthening those community bonds. Okay, let's start to tie this all together. The future of virtual worlds, and what this all means for users and builders. So what's the big takeaway from all this science? The implications are huge, both for the companies building these worlds and for us, the people who might one day use them. So, here are the key things to remember. First, building a successful metaverse isn't a tech challenge, it's a psychological one. Second, identity is absolutely everything. You have to give people powerful tools to create and express who they are. And finally, you have to make it fun. Enjoyment isn't just a bonus feature, it's a core part of the experience. And that social connection has to feel real. Ultimately, this research gives us a totally new lens for looking at the metaverse. Its success isn't going to be measured in processor speeds or headsets sold. It's going to be measured by how well it lets us build meaningful identities and have meaningful experiences. And that leaves us with one final crucial question to think about. In these new worlds, who will we choose to become?